with CM Punk possibly appearing at Forbidden Door and more. My name is John, and you're watching The Wrestling Report. Speaking about Xavier Woods becoming a world champion in the future, Kofi Kingston told the Battleground podcast, "It's coming. You know, it's coming. It's just a matter of time. I've been out now for almost 12 weeks, and Woods has been doing his thing as a singles competitor. I don't think a lot of people realize how talented he is. He's just out there proving it every single week, you know? It's just a matter of time." But what he did do, I don't know if you watched the Up, Up, Down, Down live stream that he had, Schools Out was the theme. Woods and Miz have been having a rivalry back and forth playing video games. Anytime Woods beats Miz, Miz puts one of his replica titles on the line. So Woods just beat Miz for his WWE Championship. Exactly. Yeah, if this is what we like to call foreshadowing, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a matter of time, you know? Mentioning the possibility of a return to the ring in AEW, Hornswoggle told Inside the Ropes, "Not that I know of. I mean, I would love to, but in-ring probably is behind me if I'm being honest with myself after my second failed back surgery. It ain't in the cards. I don't believe in-ring for a major company, but I truly believe the coaching stuff, and I'm finally grasping that whether I have more to give inside the ring compared to outside and teaching and helping, and that I'm okay with that. I can sign my fake name for the rest of my life, and I'm fully okay with that." Explaining why his faction of disciples was canceled, Seth Rollins was asked by Alex McCarthy of the Daily Mail. "The stable you had going with AOP, Buddy Murphy, and eventually Theory had all the potential in the world, but everything that could go wrong seemingly did. Were there originally big plans for the ensemble?" Rollins replied, "Oh yeah. The character of the Monday Night Messiah was very much a cult leader, very much a spiritual guide and a mentor, all those things. You look at the talent I was able to bring in under that tree, but everything just kept going sideways. There were injuries and then the pandemic happened. There was talent shifting from the main roster to NXT and everything was just uncertain. Then it reached its peak with the story with Rey Mysterio and Dominik and all that, and there really wasn't anywhere else for it to go because it had been decimated throughout the year 2020. Following the times where Seth Rollins broke John Cena's nose and injured Sting in WWE, he would be called out by Bret Hart for being unsafe. Speaking about these comments during that same interview, Rollins said, "I love Bret Hart. I'll preface this. Bret didn't really critique me. He called me unsafe. Bret's going to spit the truth. He'll tell you from what he saw he thought I was an unsafe worker. And I would say anybody I've ever been in the ring with would tell you the exact opposite, including the guys who have got injured during the matches with me. That's a fact, I think." To finish it up nicely, I did approach Bret at a Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Bret was backstage and we ended up in the catering line together and I said, "Hey man," and he said, "Hey," and I just said, "I wanted to tell you as somebody who looked up to you a lot and still does, it really kind of hurt my feelings. I felt bad and I don't say that often. Bret was a hero of mine when I was growing up, and so to have someone like that criticize you and your work ethic and your empathy towards other people, that really is painful." So I expressed that to him and I don't think he knew that I had that feeling towards him. I don't think he knew I cared about him that way, and it hit him in a spot and he apologized, and we have been friends since then and we've had good conversations. I'm happy we did do that, as Bret is still someone I look up to this day. With some claiming that the crowd reactions to Dominik Mysterio on Raw were canned or piped in, a fan that was in attendance took to Twitter to post this video showing off the crowd noise. Dave Meltzer previously suggested that Hit Row and especially Top Dollar had heat with WWE Creative, but Steve Carey of Ringside News recently said, "There is an idea out there that Hit Row has heat with WWE Creative. We have heard back from our own sources and have been able to confirm that there is no heat with Top Dollar or any other Hit Row member. There simply isn't anything for them to do at this time." Taking to Twitter yesterday, Moose revealed that he has re-signed with Impact, writing, "Leaving Impact Wrestling was a very hard decision to make. Since I made my debut in July 2016, I've accomplished so much in 7 years. Truth is, there is so many matches that I wanted to have, so many matchups to be had, but then I realized, unlike MMA, I don't have to beat the great wrestlers in other organizations to be considered great. I think my body of work speaks for itself. I believe my peers in all other companies and organizations respect my work, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Right now, when you hear Impact Wrestling, AJ Styles, Kurt Angle are the top names that come to mind. I want my name to be at the top of that list. So with that goal in mind, I have more I have to get done before my time in Impact is done. Not only did I sign back with Impact Wrestling, but I also signed the longest deal anyone has ever signed in company's history. A whole lot of work to be done, so let's go." When it comes to plans for Tommaso Ciampa following his return to Raw last night, Ringside News wrote that during Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted that Tommaso Ciampa is set to be a part of a family with Johnny Gargano and Dexter Lumis. No mention of Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell were made, but it's very likely that they will be a part of that plan. While Candice LeRae is still around and an active competitor, Indy Hartwell is out of action. She injured herself prior to her main roster call-up, and while she has made a few appearances on the main roster since the 2023 WWE Draft, Hartwell is yet to see any time in the ring. Announcing an appearance for his Reality of Wrestling promotion, Booker T wrote on Twitter that Saturday, July 15th in Humble, Texas at the Humble Civic Center, come see the much anticipated debut of Zila Fatu. Recalling her time in WWE as she signed a developmental contract in August 2012 and wound up released the following year after breaking her arm in training, Anya Zova told the Developmentally Speaking podcast, "Honestly, anytime you hear that there is a coach wants to talk to you, you know either you're in trouble or what's going to happen. And if you see a call coming in from Canyon Cayman on your phone, you're like, oh, am I getting fired? I agree with you. And there are so many guys that didn't get the chance that you said they deserve just because there's such a limited, I think now it's more time on TV, right? There's the NXT division, stuff like that, but it's still limited. Only now, after living in the States for like 10 years, I understand the politics, and I suck at it still. But there's so much politics in WWE. You just have to be this type of a person who understands the politics. You just have to be good. Like, you have to be professional, perform, and deliver. And in WWE, besides being good and know what you do, you need to be good at politics. And for me, that was the hardest part. I've seen so many guys struggling with it as well. You have to be smart with who you're friends with. You have to be smart how you talk to your coaches. It's a lot. Honestly, I've seen guys just get in trouble because they were heading out with the wrong person. I never understood why it's wrong. Like, just because somebody doesn't like this person, it doesn't mean he's bad. You know, just let me make my own judgment. I don't know how it is now. I hope it changed, but back then it was a little bit of toxic, I have to say. With Saraya not having been seen in AEW, this was said about her making a return, as Sean Ross Sapp, a Fightful, noted. Saraya is expected to be back in AEW imminently. She hasn't been at recent television tapings. When it comes to CM Punk's return promo on Collision, PW Insider reported, for those who were asking, the CM Punk promo on AEW Collision this past Saturday was 100% off the cuff and not verbiage that was pre-written and approved. We were told that Punk had certain lines in mind, but this wasn't a case of anything that was homogenized by management. Punk was given the freedom, as he always has been given before, to go out and speak to the crowd. There was no indication that AEW management had any issues with what was stated, and among several people we spoke to in the company, there was a sense of relief that Punk was back and that he got through his first match. There were some who even theorized that, as crazy as this might seem reading it, that it wouldn't be long before he would be asked to return to Dynamite. Staying on the topic of that return promo for CM Punk, there were many reactions to this within AEW, as Ringside News wrote. During a recent interview with ESPN prior to the debut of AEW Collision, Punk claimed that Adam Page chipped his tooth during their match and a lot of other things. Many felt that CM Punk was being far too weak and soft in this instance. According to Sean Ross Sapp behind Fightful's paywall, some people thought CM Punk was hypocritical for calling people soft after the comments he had made about Hangman Page in the ESPN interview. It was further reported that there were some people who believed Punk was just getting out what he needed to get out in the promo on the debut episode of AEW Collision, with Punk saying, "You know what David Zaslav calls me? One Bill Phil. That's because I am the one true genuine article in a business full of counterfeit bucks." During the promo, this is how the Young Bucks reacted according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful. Those that we spoke to who had heard from the Young Bucks were told they took it lightheartedly and told those that inquired that things were okay. As it was previously reported that CM Punk could potentially wrestle at Forbidden Door, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful said that Punk is actively planned for this week's upcoming AEW Dynamite, though he isn't announced as of yet. Also, his planned match with Kenta at Forbidden Door hasn't been announced, which we've heard is not 100%, but AEW is hoping will happen. At times, Chris Jericho was planned for a Punk feud, which we've not heard anything on in quite a while. There were also Samoa Joe and Switchblade Jay White singles matches planned during points of his return, but changes were made. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.